I love hip hop. I didn't really get into hip hop until I was in high school. I did my duty and I listened to my J Dilla, I listened to my MF Doom and my Stones Throw artist and my Danny Brown and my Death Grips because I'm edgy and stupid. I put in my part and I fell in love with it. You do not need to waste thousands and thousands of dollars on a stupid music education to understand how to make hip hop or trap or R&B. So it's sad to see a lot of that kind of punk music production mentality of I don't need the establishment really get carried over to an unhealthy obsession in the trap community and Audio Tool. There are some things that you do need to understand and do need to care about because they're the basic fundamentals of music. And they're not hard. You can learn them right now, and you're going to. I'm going to teach you about key signatures. What we have is A440 is what most of the time we're tuned to. That's what's going to make our middle A. All of our notes are equally tempered and tuned out from that. They're all 100 cents up or down, and it just keeps going. Then an extra 100, and it just keeps going. That's called a half step. A whole step is 200, and it's just the difference between that and that. So we got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then we also have like C sharp or D flat. So that's just that one in between. We also got like that's E flat or D sharp. Just kind of depending on what you're moving from or what key you're playing in is going to determine what you call that. My keyboard was made for children and has a lot of them. So that is your major key. What this is a series of whole steps and half steps. And the pattern goes, starting on our C, whole, half, whole, half. 2 holes, half note. 3 holes, half note. You can take that and put it anywhere. That is now the key of E flat, because that's where we started. Very cool. The reason we would call that key E flat most of the time instead of anything else is because of our circle of fifths. It's another pattern. It's an easy way to organize stuff and to be able to run through a key that maybe you're not as familiar with and be able to break it down real quick. Its pattern goes like this. It's a circle. C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp. And then going the other way on the circle is C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. Technically, you also have your C sharp and your C flat. We're going to ignore those for now. So the way we know what flats and sharps each of these keys have is from counting them. If we go from C, that's 0, to G, that's 1. So the other pattern that we have to remember with the circle of fifths is the movement of sharps and flats. And it goes F, C, G, D, A, E, B, and just backwards for the flats. So an acronym that you'll probably be taught, or any variant of this, a lot of teachers like to do this, is fat cats go down alleyways eating bugs. If we go from C, which has 0, to G, now we know fat, that first one there. So in the key of G, now we know that we have F. If we're going to do the key of A, we're going to count G, D, A. That's going to have 3. So it's going to be fat cats go F, C, G. So playing in the key of A, if you want to get a minor key out of that, then you just go to the 6. So from C, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we have our minor chord progression. All the same notes in C, so. Now for building chords, there's a difference between major and minor chords. It's dictated by the key that you're in. Your first one is always going to be major. Your fifth one is always going to be major. Your third is minor. Your sixth, of course, is minor. Your seventh is diminished. Generally, you're going to be sticking around your 1, 4, 5, and 6. So you have your 1, your 3rd, and your 5th. This is your major key. This is your major 3rd. You got 1, That's the distance between them. If you want to make it minor, you just lower it by a half step. But now, I would no longer be playing in the key of C, I'd either be playing in C minor or E flat major.
So all of that is to tell you why these two samples will not go together. When they were drug in, neither of them were set at 140 BPM. So the fact that we have it at 140 BPM means we have either sped it up or slowed it down. So it is sitting at a different key and possibly at a different reference from A440. The next issue is the other one drug in probably wasn't at the key to start with. So let's hear it with just the first sample. Now let's hear it with the second sample. I'm not digging that, and if your toes aren't curling, then just trust me, it's bad.
Holy shit, when I was recording the video files for this, I really messed up on the audio, so it sounds bad, and you not be able to understand what I'm talking about sounds bad, because the whole thing sounds like garbage. Please go on Audio Tool and just open up the actual workspace that I have. It's available to you. It's free to remix for everybody. Do whatever you want with it. Don't publish it and not change anything, or else you're stupid and dumb.
Right, so what we have here is a compressor, and what we're doing is we're sidechaining it to the kick. So to explain the compressor here first, let's look at some of the parameters that we have set up on it. We have a threshold. That is going to be the point when the compressor engages. Anytime we cross above that negative 15 dB range, our compressor is now rolling. Our attack is the time it takes for the compressor to start. I have this set at 0 and the release set at 75, so it's fairly short and it's only coming in for about the length of the kick. We have our makeup gain. I don't have any. I think the bass is pretty loud. We have our knee. This adjusts. See how it's kind of curved right there now? That adjusts how soft our compression is. And then we have our ratio. This is for how many we go over the threshold, how many decibels we go over it, how many it's going to take it down. So I think normally it's set at 3 or 4. I have it set at 50. You'll actually see right here on the side is our gauge for how much compression we're putting on it. And I think we end up hitting somewhere between 6 and 9 for the bass about the entire time that the kick's rolling. So the next thing we have is for our sidechain. I actually have where the kick is ran through a splitter after running through a little bit of distortion here. In one end we're going back into the mix, and the other end we're coming in here and going into the compressor. So now it's when the kick crosses that threshold, it's compressing the bass. So the kick signal is not coming out of this, but it is affecting the bass signal that is going into this. So to hear what's going on, so what we have here is an equalizer. There's a handful of different kind of equalizers. Over here we have our basic slopes and filters. We also have a different kind of equalizer that you can use that's a little less high maintenance, has 2 bands on it. And then we have the curve, which is really good for mastering. I use a bunch of these. They're not too heavy on your CPU, and I just really enjoy the control that I can have with them. So what I have here is a very watery pad, but I have a bit of an issue of the space that I wanted to take. It is dominating a bunch of space, and if we actually look at what's going on harmonically with it, it has a lot of low-end energy down here and a little more bright and sparkly than I originally intended it to be, but the setting I have it at is perfect, and I mess with the cutoff too much and it just mutes it out a little much, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to use this filter. Now currently I have it bypassed. If I take it off the bypass, then you can see I've cleared up a lot of that space and we sound a lot more muted out, a little bit of a kind of radio effect going on it, a lot more mid-tones. I'm cutting out a lot of this energy. You can't hear it very clearly, but this helps clear up your mix a ton. As a matter of fact, if I go through almost all of my synthesizers, I have some kind of cut, and I have it for each one for about the range that they're coming at. Everything comes back to that stupid distorted 808 bass. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is effects. So I've already done a lot on distortion. It comes down to taste. So the biggest bit of advice that I can give for your effects is save on your CPU. This is the easiest way to cram up a session and to take up all your computer's resources that it could be dedicated to, say, another synth, or another drum patch, or another something else that isn't the same reverb over and over again. So in this whole entire project, I have 2 reverb units, 1 delay, and I think 3 chorus effects. These are going to be the things that eat up your CPU the most. And besides all that stupid ass nerd shit that nobody cares about, what that means is that we're going to run it through aux channels. See, I have this coming in and then going out. And then I have the same thing for the reverb, coming in and going back out. And then up here, I'm sending it from either aux 1 or aux 2. So this adds a little bit of consistency to my mix, say for the drums, to make them sound like they're all in the same room, but I can control how much they're affected so it doesn't become washy. So for instance, the snare has a decent amount of reverb added to it. We see right here, and we got that at about -25. And then something like our pad is just absolutely washed in effects.